Now we are blessed to have another person with us who doesn't live life on excuse anyway. She's a incredible human being. She addresses everybody in the world saying, "Hello, lovely humans." And I think of her and I smile. She is one of those people who gets along extremely well with my wife. Hey, Sal, today is Bharti's birthday.
Ah, happy birthday to her.
So, can we have Sal on the spotlight, please, as I introduce her? And then we will begin our interaction with my dear friend, Sallyann Della Casa.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sal. So, where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Dubai. So, greetings from Dubai to everyone. I miss India. I have not been in India since March.
Ah,
And I have not been to your lovely place in Pune. Absolutely love India. But welcome from Dubai, everyone.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And India is missing you. So, as early as possible, wherever you want to travel to India, it has to be via Pune. Remember that.
I know that. I know that.
Now, let's go on directly to Q&A while the tech team is attempting to put you on the spotlight.
Okay.
Uh, you are a busy lady.
Mhm.
You wear many hats and you are juggling between cities, between work, between projects, doing the technicals, doing the marketing, running the mentor community. So, in spite of an incredibly busy schedule, what made you say yes to High Performance Youth Summit, and that too for a glorious 1 hour?
Oh, wow. Anything involving young people and lighting a fire inside of their hearts and souls and minds, you can count on me being there. One, I have a foundation that does this work. Number two, I am here because I'm super proud of you and your entire team and all the work that you're doing. So I will always support you wherever I can. And number three, I'm here for everyone who is attending. So, everyone here who is attending, I always say if you want to touch the future, you have to touch the mind of a young person. So, every one of you attending here is the future. And if, in fact, anything I say today can light something up in any one of you, I get to be there in the future for you when you become big and tall and wide. So I'm here for you too. So those are my three reasons, Narendra.
Wow, super, super, super. Uh, Sal, uh, some deep detectives tell me
Yep,
that your family wanted you to be Miss Universe.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. I come from, for all of you who are cricket lovers in the room, I come from the West Indies, an island called Trinidad and Tobago. Do I have cricket? Anyone who is into cricket in the room? I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do. And I'm sure many of you love the West Indies. So the island that I come from, Trinidad and Tobago, is famous for Miss Universe. We've won Miss Universe several times for this tiny little island with just 1 million people.
Wow.
And yeah, and it's because we're very close to Venezuela, where we were originally part of Venezuela. And I'm sure you know Venezuela always. So everyone is very mixed and very exotic. And growing up already at 9 years old, Narendra, I was 5'9". I'm very tall. And I was very thin. I'm not very thin anymore, but I was very thin. And of course, the first thing is, they see a tall female, and the first thing was like, you're going to be the next mix. Hold on. It was the next Miss Universe. And then the second thing was my aunt was the first acting vice president and speaker of the house of my country in politics. So
Mm.
the next thing was, oh, she's very confident. Maybe she could be the prime minister. And I say this jokingly because I'm none of those things. I'm a nerd. You guys can tell with my big spectacles. I am like a bookworm and a nerd. So I was not any of those things anybody wanted me to be growing up.
Hmm. Uh, I will move directly to some very deep issues which you might have experienced across the world, and we definitely have it in our country.
Sure.
Now, how do women rise to positions of leadership in cultures? And what should young women who are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, what these young women should do to make themselves ready to become leaders for tomorrow?
So great question. And I'm going to first say something to all the guys, all the young men here. Don't sign off. Okay? And here's why you're not going to sign off. The first thing I'm going to say is women rise by talking more to men, because men make up 52% of the population. Men make up 70% of all the senior leadership levels in companies. Men make up, in terms of decision makers in organizations and owners of business, 90%. So for all the boys and young men here, I'm
Hmm.
going to start by saying women rise by not only talking to women, we rise by going out there and stacking up and getting men to be our sponsors, our influencers, our mentors. I can tell you in India, I have a startup called Gleac. Gleac, the only reason I'm able to rise at the highest levels in India is because I'm powered by some of the most powerful men of India who have allowed me that opportunity, right? So the first way women rise is don't stick only in a group of women. Second way women rise by not being afraid to share their crown. Let me explain this to everyone who is on here, what sharing your crown means. So many times women feel they forget the I in the we in teamwork. So teamwork is great, but you need to take credit for what it is you contribute. Sometimes we think as women, I've done a great job and people are going to recognize what I do. Speak up about what you do. And it's not showing off. And I'll give you an example right now, Narendra. So I often share with people, I am one of 4% of women in the world that's a sole inventor of an algorithm of a patent. Now, here's the thing. I share that because it's only 4% of women. And I share that proudly because I worked so hard for the last 2 years just to do that. That's not showing off. That's wearing my crown, taking credit for something that I have done, that I invented the only measure of soft skills that exist in the world. And a lot of times as women, it's very hard for us to share our crown, speak about ourselves, market ourselves. Very difficult for us as women. We're very used to shining the light on everybody else. And what I encourage women to do is, I always say, please, if you have problems doing it on the spot, do like an elevator pitch. And an elevator pitch is like a short 1 or 2 minute. Imagine you riding the elevator with someone and it's the most important person, whether it's Prime Minister Modi or whether it's the CEO of a company or whoever it is you want to afford you some kind of opportunity. What is it are you going to say about yourself to showcase yourself? Practice that, write it down, repeat it, say it over and over, so when the opportunity comes, you know exactly what it is you're going to say and showcase yourself. The third way that women rise is, we all feel, for women, we won't speak up unless we think we're an expert in something. So there's a study that says, if you ask males and females in a room, how many of you think you can be the CEO of the company? Every male would raise their hand. And maybe if there were 10 female, 1 or 2 would raise their hand. So, women have a big issue that we feel, and it's just how we're built, guys.
Mm.
We feel we have to be an expert to be able to participate because we don't know enough. And here's the thing, your currency is your ability to learn. Just show up and learn, just like how the guys can show up and learn and be confident in your ability to learn. I have a tech company and I'm, talking to the biggest players in the world. I'm powering, like Accenture, the Monster job portal app, big companies, Salesforce, Walmart, you name it. I don't have a tech background at all. I just came into tech, 2.5 years ago. I'm learning at this rate, vertical. And a lot of times we're afraid to do that as women. So, you don't need to be an expert to raise your hand and participate. Third thing in how women rise. Fourth thing in how women rise, leverage your connections. Your connections is your currency. So we're very afraid of women to ask people or say, here's what I can do for you. And here's what I think you can do for me. We're very afraid of that. We're like, oh, that's being calculating. And people might think I only want stuff from them. It is okay when it's a win-win relationship, to be able to go, here are the connections I have. Here are how these connections can help me spread my talent and what it is I have to serve the world. And so many times we're afraid to ask as women because we think it makes us look like we have an agenda. But you know what? If you own the fact that you have a talent and a gift, and the same for the guys, and your gift to the world is to spread that tall, wide, and large. And you just look at your network and go, how can I do this? And at the same time, how can I also use my hand to uplift those around me? That's how you rise. And the last part in terms of how you rise is take the time to know who you are and why you're here. So if I were to ask all of you in this room, if I were to give you $1,000 US dollars an hour and just teach me something, that's your area of strength. Many people stumble. They immediately go to their resume, they immediately go to where they have a degree. And a lot of times the area you have a strength, and the area you're going to rise in has nothing to do with your education. In India, I heard you have to be an engineer first before you get to be who you really want to become in life. So it has nothing to do with having an engineering degree. And it has nothing to do with what you've done in your life before. And this is where I would say to you, take the time to understand, I'm a teacher. All my work in the world, where I've stood out in the world, has to do with teaching. I have 0 degree in teaching. I have 0 degree in tech. I have 0 degree. I have 5 degrees from Harvard and all kinds of places and all kinds of stuff. None of it to do with what has caused me to rise. So that would be my 5th thing in terms of how women rise. So Narendra, I hope that answered your question.
Brilliantly well, brilliantly well. The best thing that I learned about your sharing right now is use one hand to hold on to somebody who's on the top so that I can rise,
Yeah.
and use the other hand to lift a few people who are a little below you. And
Yeah,
that's how the whole journey of leadership learning
absolutely.
happens.
You
And
know,
if it is a win-win relationship, there is no shame, there is no hesitation in asking. And I think that's how our relationship got built.
yes, yes, it's important. Leadership and leading is very lonely, guys.
Yeah.
It's a very hard, lonely battle. If you really talk to people who are leading, they will tell you how difficult it is. But it doesn't have to be that way. It
Mhm.
does not have to be that way if you bring everyone up with you as you are rising. And it doesn't have to be that way if you surround yourself with people who are going through the same journey at the time. There is this saying for all of us: we are the average of the 5 people we spend
Yeah.
the most time with
Mm.
at any part of our journey. And it's the same for leadership. It's the same for where you are in your life right now. If you're stuck right now in your life,
Mm.
and sometimes it's the people we love the most are the ones that are holding us back. And I say that sometimes we can't be in the influence of the ones we love the most.
Mm.
It's those 5 people of influence around you that will help you rise.
Brilliant. And what an incredible thought, Sal, when you say it is lonely in the life of a leader.
Yeah.
This is what we hear everybody say, but you bring a beautiful twist to it by saying it is lonely, but it need not be so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so, I have to tell you, with my tech team in India, I brought it up a couple weeks ago, where I'm always solving, as the leader of a company, you're always solving everybody else's issues. Everyone's always coming to you for stuff. And in the morning in stand-ups on Zoom, we brought up about things that we all need. And I actually said to my team, and I think that took all of them back, I said, it would be really nice if once in a while someone came to me that I'm leading you and say, how is your day going? I see you're having a bad week. Is there anything I can do to help you be okay?
Mm,
And it's so, and it sounds like this very a simple thing, but I want all of you to think about, if you've worked for a company, or if in fact, if you're a student, how many times have you actually gone to your teacher, or you've gone to your principal, or if you're working for a company, have you gone to the people guiding and leading you and go, hey, are you okay? How is your day going? How is, in a genuine way, and it's a very vulnerable thing, and I threw it out there, and I don't think they the team knew what to do with that, but it's interesting because now I've opened the door for, in leading, for them to come and go, you're not having a good day, is there anything I can do to help you? And it doesn't mean not make me less of a leader, less of a qualified leader, but I'm human, right? And I don't need to just be in a glass, in a glass, kind of fending for the whole thing by myself, right?
mm, brilliant, brilliant. Where do you get all your wisdom from?
Bumping my nose a lot. So I will say this to everyone watching: wisdom comes from, not from what your parents tell you all the time. I mean, that's great, that's good advice. True wisdom and innate wisdom comes from trying things, bumping your nose, failing at things. And when those things happen, this is where the wisdom happens. It happens when you look at it and then you take the time to reflect on it. It's kind of like, when somebody dies, they have an autopsy and they look through the whole thing and they figure out why it happens. It's the same thing when good things happen in your life and bad things happen in your life. Have an autopsy on it. I don't know if there's a better word for it, because when I say that word, everybody understands. And if you sit back and go, I wonder why that good thing happened and how do I make more of that happen, and analyze what came together to make good things good. And the same thing happens when bad things are happening in your life and difficult situations in your life, and you take the time to reflect and go, I wonder why that happened and what came together for that to happen. And that's where wisdom, true innate wisdom, that's your gut. So sometimes things are happening, and I did a talk, by the way, Narendra, on this, and I will ask your team to share. I did a TEDx talk in India Saturday last week, and I talked about this. I think our superpower as a human skill is our gut intuition, and our gut intuition comes from wisdom. And wisdom comes from experience. So it can't be somebody telling you, oh, you should do this when this happened. It comes from you having that experience and being able to, now it's like your body recognizes it now. And it's like, I felt this way before. I've seen this before. I know what this is and I know what I need to do. That's where, and it doesn't matter how old you are. So, there is this mistake, Narendra, older people are wiser. Older people we give respect to, but how many wise old people do you actually know? Like, or, right? Not all old people we know are wise,
Yeah.
right? Think about that. Not all old people we know are wise. So, I say that to you, you can be 10 years old or 20 years old and be wise because you've already had and been exposed to all kinds of life situations and tough situations,
Mm,
and you have reflected on them. And that's where wisdom comes from, Narendra.
super. Uh, all in the audience, if you have any questions for Sal, start keeping them well. I am having a few more questions to ask her.
Sure.
Um, Sal, can a woman have it all? Beautiful work life, beautiful family life, beautiful personal, let's say, hobby life.
Nobody can have it all, not even a man.
Ah,
So the reason why men look like they have it all is because they have women beside them picking up the pieces. Okay? Let's be
ah,
honest. Let's be
ah,
honest. A marriage is never, let's talk about the simple thing of a marriage, right? A marriage is never 50-50.
ah. Hmm.
Right? What is a marriage? A marriage means that sometimes, and then I'll talk about it in work life. A marriage means some days I'm going to be at 100 and you can be at 0. Some days I'm going to be at 70 and you will be at 30. Some days I'm going to be at 30 and I need you to be at 70.
Hmm.
That's what, how, and the reason why many men seem to have it all, because women, you know, I just told you, we're very generous in our we, and we forget the I. So very often, that's why, you know, we think, oh my gosh, like, you know, I can't have what a male has. For a female, it is twice as difficult, not because of the fault of a male, but if you look at a female like Indra Nooyi, if you look at many of the women atop, their husbands made decisions to stay at home, support them as they progressed in their career. So they actually, you know, Indra Nooyi, she couldn't be there for her kids to make dinner for them and have whatever. Her mother, her husband, they all, you know, this is the ex-CEO of PepsiCo.
Yeah.
The same with Kamala Harris, you know, so Kamala Harris, the incoming vice president of the US, her husband is the head of one of the, you know, one of the partners of the biggest law firms in America. He put his job on hold to support her in her bid to be vice president. So he said she's going to, she can only be at 30 for in the household. I'm going to step up and be that. So a woman could never have it all. Nobody can ever have it all. You know, you can't be everything to everyone and do it brilliantly. When you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one. So if a woman is really shining in the workplace, I can bet you anything. Same for a male. Someone is picking up the pieces that is falling apart, or she is struggling to be able to, you know, carry forward those pieces. So the answer is no, Narendra. Nobody can have it all.
Uh, have you ever found considering being a female as an advantage or a disadvantage in work?
So there is a beautiful advantage of being a female. And Narendra, I'm going to start by saying, you know, here's the advantage of being a female. We don't have to be males. There's strength and power in showing up in the world as females, you know, and I think we forget that, particularly in the world of work. We think that we need to become males, and we don't. We absolutely don't. You know, we need to know our stuff, you know, in a competitive way, but showing up as a female in the workplace, there's absolute strength, the way that we empathize, the way that we see situations. There is absolute beauty and strength in that. So no, I don't think it's a disadvantage. I actually think it's an advantage. I just think it's harder balancing if you have a family with kids, and if you don't have a support system, it's a lot more difficult, but not a disadvantage at all.
But have you ever gone through stages where somebody thought that you're not good enough?
I just had it happen yesterday. So hold on, let me share this with everyone. You know, I'm in the process of raising all kinds of funds for my startups with very sophisticated people from around the world. And, you know, I was in negotiations for the last couple of months with a particular investor, and everything was fine. And the day before the closing, negotiated all the legal docs and everything. And the day before the closing of the transaction, the investor showed up with a new set of documents, all not in my interest, and completely tried to surprise me and back me into a corner. He would have never done this if it was a male. And I called him out on it. I literally said, I don't do business with people who conduct themselves in this way. And the response to that was, well, this is the world of business, and you're not a sophisticated business person. And I said, no, I'm actually, if not being sophisticated means I'm transparent, my video matches my audio, I don't take advantage of people, I said, well, then it's a compliment. And I don't do business with sophisticated people like you that try to back people in a corner at the last minute and take advantage. So it happens, Narendra, all the time, that sometimes the femininity of being a female is mistaken for being soft. But I'm one hard-nosed businesswoman, you know, and being, you know, the fact that I teach soft skills and human skills does not mean that I'm soft in terms of a person. So it happens, Narendra, but it doesn't happen. I no longer see that as something I did, right? I see it as, you know, we live sadly in a world where sometimes people might perceive femininity as weakness. right? And it's okay. It's not my problem. It's their problem to deal with, right? I just choose not to have it around me.
Ah. No, yesterday I had a very, very good friend of ours called Eka Banerjee Chaturvedi. One of those days I'll introduce you to her.
Okay,
Fabulous woman, studied from good places, Oxford and all that stuff.
sure,
Uh, into soft skills in a very big way. She was heading the largest skilling company in India called Future Skills
sure,
for a long time. Uh, Eka was speaking about her corporate career where she was a banker and then into skilling.
sure.
And she said that in a need to prove, hello, look at me, I'm good.
Hmm.
I had to behave like men, be aggressive, be loud, put my
Yeah.
point across, argue, fight, because that is how I saw things happening. And for 10 years in my corporate life, I was the most miserable person in my life.
Yeah.
And then when I shifted to skilling and now into some other things, I am so peaceful. And the best phase of my life is there.
So, I was a corporate lawyer for 10 years. I
Yeah.
think that at 21, I already had 5 degrees. As I said to you, I'm a nerd. And that was the worst phase of my life. Now, it wasn't a worst phase of my life that I thought I had to become a male. It was
Hmm.
the worst phase of my life. And for all the young people attending right now, it's because I was in an area that was not my natural area of strength.
Hmm.
And that's very different, right? We all have a natural area of strength. And it doesn't matter. I was, on all the right boards, all the right, things. People wanted my life. I did not want to be in my own life. Going to my law firm every day, I used to feel like putting darts in my forehead because I just did not. It's like in India being an engineer, and you're not meant to be an engineer. And you're doing it for your family and you're doing it for everybody else, and you're not doing it because that's who you are and that's what you were meant to be. So, Narendra, I think a lot of times for those of us who find ourselves having to shift and evolve and become somebody else because of the space we're in, does not actually have to do with the other people around us. It has to do with us not being aligned to our own strengths and our own, and all of a sudden it's not fitting right. So we think it's the environment we're in. We're thinking we have to change to adapt. We're thinking, and I say that to both men and women, right? When you are like right now, I'm occupying my body. I'm having the time of my life right now. It feels very different from renting your body and being everybody's version of who they want you to be, right? Very
Absolutely.
different.
My partner in this venture, Amit, is asking a question.
Sure.
That to explain to someone you are mentoring what it is that makes one successful, what would you say?
So it's different for everybody. And here's how it's different for everyone. So I look at it like a scorecard, and think of a scorecard and think of the things that matter, and it ties to our value system, success. So success has a feeling, guys. And most people don't ever talk to you about this, and most of us think success has to do with immediately we think financial or status or, those types of things. But, and for some people, that's okay. That's their interpretation of success. And none of us should actually be judgmental about that because maybe there's some level of that. But let's assume, like a speedometer in a car, from 0 to 10, you have different things in your value system. So for some people, having recognition from their peers is at a 10. That means status is very important in success. For you, it might be a 3 or 4. You don't give a crap what people think in terms of your title. My title is Chief Identity Hacker. People is like, what the hell does that title mean? I said, well, I own my company. I can call myself whatever I want. I don't need to call myself a CEO or anything else, right? So certainly title and status doesn't have, a tremendous, but for somebody else it might, and neither is bad or good. So success for that person might look that way. Financial. So for some people, financial and having financial freedom is at number 10 for them. Maybe for you or me, it might be a 5 or 6 or might be a 7. For some people, it might just be impact. I'm doing NGO work and I'm making a difference in the world and I just need enough to eat. And that's a 2 or 3. That's what success looks like for them. So, definition of success, it's yours. It is your definition, nobody else's definition. And understand what are your success drivers. So if I were to say to you, choose 5 things, right? So sometimes it has to do a lot of times with what you do for a living. It has to do with maybe things that you enjoy, like whether you're a hiker, you're an adventurer, you are, things that make you feel good has a level of success. Number 3, your commitments. Do you have family commitments, whatever? Well, what does financial and work success look like to honor those commitments? 4, it might be that you're in an environment where you're learning and thriving and around good people. Some people, that's not a measure of success for them, right? So come up with the 5 elements that's tied to your value system, because success is a feeling. I can tell you, for me, Narendra, the most successful I've ever felt in my life so far, and I've done a lot so far, and I have a lot more to do and go. But when I first published my book in 2014 or 2015, I can't remember what year it was, I went into the biggest bookstore in the world. And I went up to the section that has all the books of like all the famous people in motivational stuff, like, Robin Sharma and Tony Robbins and you name them. And my book was on the bookshelf right next to them. Now, I have to tell you, nobody really ever makes money writing a book, guys, unless you're like, you sell millions and millions of books. But at that moment, being a nerd as a child, reading 5 books at a time, I'm always reading, to stand in a bookstore, the biggest one in the world, and to see my book on the bookshelf with all the giants, I stood there for a moment and go, this is the most successful I've ever felt in my entire life. So success is different for all of us. It's entirely different for all of us.
Wow. Wow. Um, what I learned from what you said is, define to you what is success. It can be about what you do, what you have, what you enjoy, what are your commitments, what is your environment. So have your own clarity about what success would mean. And it's not just one thing, it can be a
Um,
mixture of a few things. And ultimately, it's that feeling of completeness, that elation.
and it changes, Narendra, all the time,
Right?
right? So your feeling of success in your 20s, that
Yeah.
might change for when you're in your 30s and your 40s. It's dynamic, guys. It's not one thing, and it's okay. It doesn't mean you're flighty. It doesn't mean, right? It's different. So now I'm in a phase where I'm growing a startup, hopefully into, the next big unicorn. So success for me might be right now at this moment in my life over the next 5 years, scaling and growing a big tech company that the world will know, which is my company, Gleac. So, it can look and feel different in different phases.
Yeah. And it's easy to be success if I know what is my values and if they are working together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks on the outside, because so many times we look for confirmation
Yeah.
of success because we have not taken the time to understand our own value system and what success means to me. So
Yeah.
we're looking for outside validation of, oh, those people think I'm successful. Oh, that person thinks I'm successful. And guess what? If you're always looking on the outside for people to validate your success, you will never stack up to it. You will never be good enough. You will never have enough, right? That's one of the things I will tell you. Yes.
Sal, every time I've spoken with you, every time we have interacted, every time we have even exchanged emails, I find a lot of energy, optimism, drive.
Mhm.
For example, when we had to meet, you just flew down for a day. We were there together throughout the day. We were at office, having interaction, meeting a few people, and then you had to fly back again. And it was almost like an effortless flow through life.
Yeah.
So do you have some philosophies which helps you to live this way?
Yeah. So we are all energy, guys. All of us, right? That's all we are, energy, right? We're passing through. So sometimes I think we take our importance and our ego too important that we actually think we're important, and we are, and we're all just energy, and we are all responsible for our energy when we show up in this world, whether it's to one person, whether it's me showing up for you guys now, whether it is showing up for our families. We are responsible for our energy. And I think a lot of us don't take responsibility and recognize that our energy impacts everybody else around us, because energy is in movement. So if I showed up today and hopefully I'm not a boring speaker. So if I showed up today and I was really, really boring, I literally am then responsible for everybody else in this room that I did not show up and bring my 200%. So when I say yes, I have to make sure I'm at my 200%. And the way I'm able to do that is the quality of my yes improves with all the things I say no to. So I say no to a lot of things, Narendra, because I'm an introvert, by the way, guys, which means I spend a lot of time alone. But when I say yes and I show up 200%, recognizing I'm showing up to make a difference. And I can't do that being 50%. I cannot give what I do not have within me. So I have to fill up 200% to give 200%. So that's how I'm able to do it, Narendra.
And as you attempt to create something world class, get it, into lives of millions of people on the journey of creating the next unicorn. And my heart says you will create a multicon, not a unicorn.
Well, I don't know what a multicon is, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
I also don't know. I just created that word right now.
I make up words all the time too.
So there must be phases where you are low, when you are down, when you're frustrated, you want to break somebody's head, somebody's just not getting it. And when you say that you come up with 200%, you are completely here, there are no distractions, your energy is on the flow, you are impacting others' lives. And when you see that there are others who are not doing their bit, which they are supposed to, which they are responsible for,
Yeah.
how do you handle that? How do you rectify that? What do you do in those moments?
It's hard. It's so hard because we all assume that if we show up 200% and we set the example that everyone, and we see potential in everyone, that everyone will rise to that occasion. And I say that to you coming from a place, I've taught in youth jails, people who have been incarcerated, young 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and literally, where they saw no future. So when I come out and I deal with everyday youth or everyday, people, I just assume that if I set the example and I set the bar high and I guide them and give them all the opportunities in the world, they will step up to it. Well, that's not the case. And Narendra, it's hard. It's really difficult because you can't understand why. But then, I have to take a step back and say everybody is entitled to their own journey, right? Everybody does not have to have, it's the same thing of my parents' expectations of me. I can't have certain expectations. I can certainly, try to express and whisper potential to someone, but it is up to them to want it for themselves. And there's only so much I can do. So one of the hardest things for me was being able to let go and cut ties, recognizing that people's energy I was trying to bring up, if they're not ready to make that step in their life, it was impacting me and my ability to move forward. So it's something I struggle with all the time, Narendra. No, I cannot, I have my bad days. I have my bad days, every single day, Narendra, I wake up one foot in fear and one foot in courage. I've never done this before in terms of a tech company, Narendra. It is hard. And talk myself into, you can do this. You're doing this. Not that you can do this, you're doing this. But, I can't do it for everyone all the time. I have some questions here in the note. Do you mind if I answer some of them, Narendra?
I think
how was my experience during the TEDx event? This is Yash Sidwani asking. So Yash, in terms of it was TEDx Gateway, by the way, guys. So if you go on Facebook, TEDx Gateway, or there's a YouTube link on top, you can look at it. It was very difficult because you have to, with the TEDx team, and they're a brilliant team, by the way, guys, the TEDx Gateway, world-class professional, the team out of Mumbai. You go through the thing that your body of work, right? So you have a body of work, or, the idea worth spreading. And then you have to come up and draft your talk, and you go through all kinds of layers. And my first version, they botched it completely. They were like, nope, can't talk that way. You can't. It was like this hit to my ego completely. It was like, really? It was like, but they gave me such good advice in terms of what the audience would need and want. And then I only had 2 weeks to get ready. I had 1 week from my final draft to memorize the entire talk, to be able to then, it was filmed on camera, and set it, deliver it. But I do have to tell you, and in the next 3 weeks, it's getting edited and it will go live on the main TED.com stage in the United States. But I have to tell you, the feedback that I have gotten in terms of preparation and just the experience has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I wish it on any of you that, move forward. And, the timing was right for me. I've been looking at it for a couple of years. And I think finally, when the universe timing and everything came together, it worked out really well. So positive experience. And tell me what you think about it when you watch it. How do you know the difference between knowledge and wisdom? So, knowledge, I think, when we're learning, and we all need to know how we need to learn, we can have knowledge about something. I think knowledge is knowing 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, right? Wisdom is knowing 1 + 1 + 1 sometimes can equal 3, or sometimes it might be a 4 and nobody's seeing the 4 yet, but I've been here and done this before and I know this is a 4. It's like meeting someone for the first time, and your gut instinct, your knowledge might be, oh, this person doesn't have the right title and the right connections for me to, or worth my while. Wisdom is going, there's something about this person and I can't put my finger on it. They might not have the title, they might not have the connections, but there is something that I know I need to be around this person. That's wisdom. It's this very deep, I think it's knowledge 4.0 is wisdom, right? What is Gleac? So I encourage all of you to go to the website, Gleac.com, and download the app. Gleac is, very simply what it does. Gleac looks at your gaps in human skills for current or emerging jobs. So any students on here, if you're going for particular jobs and you want to see what your gaps are in human skills, it tells you what it is. It's free on the website. You can do a quick little mini assessment for 1 minute, so please do it. And it then upskills you in human skills in 10 minutes a day. So it's really, it's a labor of love, really. It's all the work my foundation was doing offline, online. So that's what's Gleac. And what's super special about it is, for the first time I've created, that's part of my patent, an actual taxonomy. So Gleac is going to be featured in Expo 2020, which is in October 2021. It's the World Fair in Dubai. And it's the first time, so even for all of you here, all the jobs of the future that doesn't exist yet, you can actually try out and see if you have the skills for those jobs already. And if you don't, you can upskill for jobs that don't exist yet. So that's what's super special about Gleac. It's very forward looking. And the reason it is 85% of jobs by 2030 is we don't even know what they are yet. So you need to know how you're going to kind of fit into the future. Did everything change post Upside Down, post Me Too movement? So I didn't follow a lot in terms of the Me Too movement. I mean, clearly I'm aware of the movement when it comes to, I have personally never had an issue of someone trying to, take advantage at at a physical level for a female, but it might also be the way, I am. So I'm sure things have changed. For me, it has really, I've never had that experience, because I've always shown up feminine, but strong. I've had bad business experiences like the one I just told you yesterday, but that has nothing to do with, taking advantage. It might just be, I think the comment made was, I cannot believe she reacted in this way and she teaches soft skills. And I said, because I teach soft skills doesn't mean I'm soft in business. Right. So that's more of a business thing more than anything. So, that's the answer to that. If you can explain to someone you were mentoring, what is it that makes you successful? What would you say? So I think the thing that makes me successful is I take the time to connect with the human. I see the human behind everything I do and every interaction I have, and I'm able to do it in a matter of seconds. So I think people feel, they feel I see them. You know, I'm that woman who smiles with strangers. I'm that woman that when I see you, I hug you hard. I'm that human that, you know, when the first conversation with you, I say, hello, lovely human. And I can't tell you how many people around the world have met with me, you know, in the most powerful positions and go, no one's ever called us lovely human before. But hold on, they get very upset when they're like, oh, you call everybody that? So I think my success is I make people feel, and I'm sure people feel seen, and I whisper to them their potential. I think that's what makes me. That's my version of what I think makes me successful. Um, Other question. Nowadays, youth feels it's to become rich by lots of money, I will be successful. What is your opinion? So there's a study that says um, after making the amount is about $70,000 in the US. It might be way less in India. It might be 50,000 in India, right? We need to look at what $70,000 in the US is compared to in India. After making that amount, your happiness does not go up. Your success does not, your feeling of success does not go up. So it doesn't matter if you have millions and millions of dollars. So you have to understand the difference between financial security and financial freedom. And for many of us, just having enough to take care of our family and then some, is enough. And having that extra does not shift how successful we are, or we feel we are, or how happy we feel we are. And again, that looks different for everyone. So I think for young people, a lot of times, we're heavily influenced by media, right? And when you're heavily influenced by media and you don't know what your value system is, so you haven't figured out yet your own internal value compass, where is your north? Once as you figure that out, it doesn't matter what it is you look at and what it is you see. And, it's nice to look at and you're happy for them, right? So I always go, I'm really happy for you, for anyone, but that is just not your compass. So looking at stuff no longer influences you going, oh, I need to have that. I will look that way and I'll smile that way and I'll be happy that way, because you know what your compass is and you know where your north is. So take the time, my advice to you as a young person, take the time to figure out where your true north is and your system is. One word best sums up you and your vision? So, this reminds me of an exercise I have in one of my books of, if one day you were a statue in a park, and the statue in the park has to have, one sentence of um, why you were here, right? Just think about Gandhi or think about anyone important, and you have, if all of us had to have that statue in the park tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us, what is it would your life have been about? And I think for me, that sentence, I can't remember exactly how I wrote it at the time, but it would be something along the lines of she dared, and because she dared, we all started daring also with our lives. And in many ways, I hope that all the times I've fall over and failed and gotten up, and is me saying to someone else, oh my God, if she can do it, I can do it too. And that's what I hope for everyone, is somehow, all of you leap ahead of me, right? Particularly the young ones, right? The example I want to make is that, not that you want to be like me or like anyone else. I want you to be your version of you and leap ahead, to the front of the line. That would be in terms of the vision. What kinds of habits, training, and supports help you achieve your dreams and goals? Oh my gosh. Tunnel vision, guys. So remember how I said you can't be everything to everyone? So when I decided, like right now, I've decided I'm going to be a tech founder and build a multi-corn, according to Narendra. In building a multi-corn, you need to have precision and focus. So it looks, training, support, and help to achieve my dreams looks different in different points in my life. 10 years ago, it was my foundation work, and that looked very different. Now it's very focused. I'm removing people, projects, anything that is not aligned to me getting razor sharp to achieving this goal, because remember, it's new. I've never done it before. So it's like preparing to be an Olympic athlete, guys, and making sure I have the right coaches and people around me in the Olympic athlete space that I'm about to do the sprint of my life that I've never done before. And I'm doing it not only for me, I'm doing it for all the women in tech. I'm doing it for all the startup founders who've ever wanted to be a unicorn. I'm doing it for, and if I'm going to do it right, I have to, it's like training to be an Olympic athlete. I want to tell you, you know, I start at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I work India time, Dubai time, and then I work US time. So sometimes when I start at 5 in the morning, I don't finish until 2 the next morning, or midnight that night. I'm on a marathon. So it depends, your habits, training and support depends on what you're aiming at, and you get razor sharp at it, right? It's sharpening a sword. Your own quality you admire the most and feel played important role in building yourself. I love how I care, and I love people and things, and how I get passionate about it. I love that about myself, and I love that I feel. And so many people in business and life, it becomes very transactional. And I love that I take the time to love people and feel and get emotional about stuff. I love that about myself, and it's not a detriment in business, right? I see it as a very, very positive thing. How can we start a career in hacking? Can you suggest the best platform? I love that question. So let me tell you what I mean by chief identity hacker. Okay. So everyone thinks a hacker is a bad thing. I mean, because that's how we hear the word. But when I say identity hacker, think about what I'm doing with Gleac. So most of us show up in the world based on our resumes and based on our LinkedIn profiles, which is just a tiny part of the beauty of who we are. And what I'm doing is I'm hacking that resume and going, no, wait a minute. Narendra over there, or Mukesh over there, or Sheetal over there, there's way more to her. And let me hack that resume and show you all the human skills and all the other things. And that's what Gleac does. It allows you to show up fully in the world. So in terms of hacking, once as it's positive, I'm good. That's good. All right. I don't know about the bad hacking platforms, if that's what you're asking. And I think that's the last question I have. Narendra, are we out of time?
Yes. What a beautiful time we had.
Yes, thank you.
I'll show you something.
Tell me, show me.
You said 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. And how about making it 1 + 1 is equal to 4?
Yeah.
The difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
So a small effort.
Yeah.
One, and that 1 comes again, and it looks like 4. I don't know if you're able to see it clearly through the camera.
1 + 1. Yeah, I can see that. That's right. I can see that. Look at that. Yes. And wisdom allows you to see that. Not logic and not learning. And right.
I am just wearing my crown.
That's right. Good for you. Good for you. All right. Thank you guys so very much for having me.
So beautiful to have you, Pranat. I think you have made a lot of difference in every life over here.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. For those of you, if you want to stay in touch, my name's Sallyann Della Casa on my LinkedIn profile. And obviously, as I said to you, please go download and take advantage of all the free stuff that we offer. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you. All of you. I wish you
I love you.
Great, great things, all of you. Okay?
Okay. Chal, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Parul?
So I have a gleaming smile with me and I feel successful already meeting this beautiful person.